I, 25F, didn't tell my husband, 28M, that I have autism, and he is disappointed with me. I have level 1 autism spectrum disorder. Basically, I'm socially awkward and face some difficulties with interaction. It's something I've always dealt with on my own until my husband accidentally found out through my sister. He was disappointed because I didn't trust him enough to share this information. The truth is, I didn't want him to see me differently or start treating me as a completely different person. It was a personal choice I made to preserve the dynamics between us. I know he's disappointed for not being informed, but I didn't know how he would react. How can I regain his trust? Say exactly what you have here and apologize for getting it wrong. Honesty is important in a relationship, even if it's something you're self-conscious of. I would tell him exactly what you have written here. You understand his feelings and you were afraid because you thought it could change his perspective. I am curious if you have had experiences that have taught you that sharing this diagnosis changes the way people interacted with you. How can I regain his trust? If find honesty builds trust, try that and see what happens. Unfortunately, you don't rebuild trust overnight and it takes time. I hear the honesty route works though. I am autistic. I can relate to being worried about telling someone about it in case they treat you differently. However, I also completely understand why he is disappointed. I think you were in the wrong here. I can see why you made that decision. But it was still a wrong one. It was not a personal choice you made. It was a unilateral decision you made to withhold this information from him based on an assumption you made that he might react negatively. It's no doubt upsetting to him to learn that you didn't trust that he would have been accepting of it. You also, I think, really disadvantaged yourself. Having a partner who understands that you're autistic and what that can mean for you is helpful in lots of ways. The reason I'm telling you that I think you were in the wrong is that you need to understand that you were in the wrong before you have any chance of regaining his trust. You need to apologize to him and talk about it and empathize with his position. But you need to ask him what he wants. What will help him feel better? Be open and honest. He doesn't care that you are autistic. He's hurt that you didn't trust him enough to be open about it. I think you're the one who has a problem with this if you felt the need to hide it from the person who loves you most in the world. This is a good opportunity to learn about why that is. The truth is, I didn't want him to see me differently or start treating me as a completely different person. Do you think that this became a self-fulfilling prophecy? He might see you as someone who doesn't even trust him with this matter. He may question the marriage. Regain his trust by being open and honest with him. You need clear communication with him. Tell him things you've never told another soul. I mean, you did marry him, right? Medical issues should really be disclosed and talked about before such a big step as marriage. If anything else, the understanding that there may be genetic or medical issues that may be passed to future children should be known before marriage. He may be conflicted as he now has to rethink children, his trust levels, etc. You are going to have to be patient and show that you are much less selfish now compared with when you chose to hide information that could affect your future life together. Him being hurt is valid. You can't undo what has been done, so you just have to give it time. I don't understand how you could keep this essential part of yourself from him. The man to whom you have pledged your life. You must be a good actor to have hidden this part of yourself. He has got to be wondering what else you are hiding. Fun fact. That's a lie. This fact isn't fun. The divorce rate for neurodiverse couples is around 80%. Read that statistic as many times as you need. You did your marriage a great disservice. Knowing something like whether or not your partner is neurodiverse can greatly impact how you communicate in a relationship. My husband is autistic. He was not diagnosed until about a year and a half into our marriage. Knowing his diagnosis has been a game changer for us. It doesn't change my love for him or how I view him as a person. It does change how I approach important conversations with him and how I think about his perspective. Knowing there is a fundamental difference in how we process information reminds us to not just assume the other understands our point. I understand having reservations about sharing the information, but he isn't a college roommate or something. He's your husband. He should know. I would feel very betrayed if I was your husband. Not only did you shut him out of something that is a critical part of your identity, but is possibly something that could affect potential future children. I'd look into couples therapy. You have to start by working through your own internalized ableism. I totally get where you're coming from. Because being autistic can limit us in many ways. But you having autism doesn't make you bad. And he might be able to support you better because he knows now. Which will allow you to be more open about needs. I think he's likely hurt because you assumed he'd have a negative reaction. Learn to love the positive traits you might have due to your autism. And maybe try to dissect the shame behind it. My husband told me he had autism 8 years into our relationship. Doesn't change anything about us. Honestly, just helped me understand him and why he reacts to certain situations like he does better. I'm autistic too, and I can't even imagine keeping that from someone. Let alone not telling someone I was going to marry. I would gently suggest you can't regain his trust. Because your values are fundamentally different than his. You put yourself first. And allowed the man you love to enter a marriage with a person he didn't have key information about. He may need to help you recover from burnout in the future. Or be understanding of whatever your meltdowns look like, if you have them. Or tolerate sensory or social issues that would otherwise be baffling to him. And you intentionally deprived him of the opportunity to know the real you. This isn't a mistake. It's evidence you don't see honesty in your marriage as a priority. And evidence you don't have a strong enough character to face and own the truth about yourself. So where else will those basic incompatibilities show up in the future? Preserve the dynamic, in other words, a falsehood. If he's your husband, then you must have known him for at least a few years before getting married. In no part of that time did you think it might make your and his life easier to be honest? That he could have and wanted to make those difficulties easier for you. And that by understanding them you both could make any he may be facing easier on him? You're asking how to regain his trust, but in truth you didn't trust him enough to love you and treat you as a person if he knew. Asking for trust while not giving it is selfish manipulation where you try and dictate the terms. For another person, it'd be different if you two weren't in a relationship, but he is committing to you and you're committing to him. You shouldn't be trying to control how he sees you. Be your authentic self. If you feel like he would see you fundamentally differently, then on a level you must feel he wouldn't accept you as the same person. Why get married based on a lie? If he was truly your person, then why pretend? Did he ever even get to know the real you or a carefully constructed mask? I need you to understand this is a big breach of trust. He has every right to feel disappointed. I get it can be scary sharing these kinds of things because people in general can be very assuming. And many do treat you less as people. But a partner isn't a person you should feel the need to hide any aspect of yourself. It's upsetting you felt the need to your entire relationship with him. And if I were him, I'd be questioning a lot. How much else would I not know about the person I married because they purposely kept it from me? I understand, as I am also autistic. Some of it is internalized ableism and some of it is because we are so used to people treating us badly because of the widespread misinformation about autism. However, this is your husband and you might want to consider why you didn't feel safe enough to tell him. Is it because you believe no one can love you as you are? Is it because he has given you reason to think he will treat you differently, badly? This is very difficult. Discrimination towards high-functioning autism is very sad. I dated a girl with Asperger's and I didn't know it at that time. She was amazing but things didn't work out. If anything, knowing what was happening could have helped me understand her better and helped me make our relationship better. But I wouldn't have left her just because of it. Hopefully good things will come out of this happening. I think you need to understand that you don't get to make unilateral decisions to preserve the dynamic. It removes his agency and makes you untrustworthy. What else might you keep from him to preserve the dynamic? It's not so much that you chose to keep this to yourself. It's the reason behind it that is concerning. Our personality traits are what our significant others are substantially affected by. He had a right to know. Just say what you wrote here to him and tell him you're sorry. Take responsibility of your choice and the will to compensate as he wants. He might have to talk to you to get it out of his system. Most probably it would be okay afterwards.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.